Thank you. Before I explain the bill, I'd like to tell the body about an experience I've dealt with since mid-September. One of my family members has a small young family, a healthy, thriving 2-year-old and a new son born in late August. On Tuesday, September 14th, for the first time, Mom took her new baby out. He was 3 weeks old, and she was excited to run errands at last. She put her baby in the car seat and went to Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Costco, and then to lunch at the Olive Garden. It was a good 4 or 5 hours. The baby remained in the car seat the whole time. It was a great day. Wednesday passed uneventfully. On Thursday morning, the baby got up at 7 a.m. Dad's an IBEW electrician working in Whiteman at the time. He leaves very early. Mom changed her son and noticed a bruise on the baby's tummy. Alarmed, she called her mother, who is an RN. She texted a picture. I've got that picture on my phone if any senator would like to see it. They decided to be safe and went to Children's Mercy Hospital. At Children's Mercy, they of course were asked how a 3-week-old suffered a bruise. Mom answered honestly, her first mistake. She didn't know. The hospital then got the Safe Care Provider, which is RSMO 210-146, involved. The Safe Care Provider, or scan clinic, was manned by Dr. Jennifer Hansen at that time. Dr. Hansen didn't actually see the baby and only looked at photographs, but that's not unusual. She then issued a final report which shows diagnosis, suspected child physical abuse. It also lists recommendations. The first one says, placing a child back into an abusive home places the child at great risk. Strongly recommend a thorough evaluation of the baby's caregiving environment with the goal of ensuring his safety. That's a job for our child services has, and I'll say more about them in a moment. That was on Thursday. So on Thursday and Friday consisted of the parents bringing the baby and the 2-year-old to Children's Mercy so both kids could be looked at, lots of scans, no other injuries but this superficial bruise. On Friday, our child services interacted with the parents and told them that they would be at the home at 4 p.m. to look into this. No one showed. Mom and Dad called the department and left a voicemail. The local police also investigated these complaints because they get referrals. They came out Friday morning. The officer walked through the home and laughed, saying that they would close the criminal case. At 7 p.m. on that Friday, the department showed up with a different policeman and took the kids. They took both to their maternal grandmother's house. The next day, Saturday, in total chaos, the family called me. I asked to speak to the dad and said, "Tell me the truth. How did the baby suffer the bruise?" He told me they'd racked their brains and could not figure it out. I started making calls to find out what to do. Mostly people said they need to get lawyers. About 2 hours later, the dad called me again and said they thought they figured it out. He texted me a picture. The bruise lined up perfectly with the buckle on the infant seat that the baby spent 5 hours in 2 days earlier. I also have pictures of that if any senator would like to see them. My thoughts were, thank God, we can unwind this quickly. I was wrong. On Monday, the department held the required meeting by Zoom with the parents and the 2 lawyers they had hired. Mostly it concerned process and their rights. On Wednesday, the custody hearing was held. Mom and Dad testified first, explaining what had happened and the discovery of the car seat buckle. Also testifying was a 2-year-old's daycare provider about the care of the 2-year-old and how a happy, robust child he was. Then the scan clinic doctor, Dr. Jennifer Hansen, took the stand. Let me stop for a moment and say, as disrupting as accusations and removal are, where they can also be understood what they've done, 3-week-olds can't bruise themselves, and unknown bruising is a cause of concern. On the stand, she listed her credentials and the normal things. She went over the scan report and her findings and recommendations. Then when asked about the car seat explanation, she visibly shifted in the stand and seemed irritated that her professional judgment was questioned. She then stated they were not sustained by a car seat. Also, bruises are not consistent with the buckle. And later, car seats don't cause injuries like this. In court, an expert witness carries the day. The Cass County judge then issued his ruling. First, he said, I have a judge's heart and a judge's brain. My heart tells me these people did nothing wrong. My brain tells me I've got to follow the law, and the law is clear. By that, he meant the expert witness. Dr. Jennifer Hansen carried the day. We give these safe care providers incredible power. They need it. Many children suffer terrible injuries. But on the other side of that coin is the incredible damage innocent families can suffer. These positions require experts with profound judgment. Dr. Hansen lacks that. Let me tell you something I've learned these past few months. I've met and discussed this issue with several attorneys that worked in this area, in the Kansas City area. They've created a phrase about it. The term is abducted by Children's Mercy Hospital. Imagine that. It's a real thing, abducted by Children's Mercy Hospital. Later, the family lawyers reached out to a different doctor, Dr. Christine Long, a board-certified emergency physician practicing in a level 1 trauma center. In her letter, after explaining how she comes to the conclusion, Dr. Long states, "I would agree that the bruise fits the pattern of the seatbelt clip with prolonged pressure. If it was secured too tight by accident, it is plausible that it could leave a mark. And just as one cannot prove that the seatbelt clip is what caused it, one cannot prove that the parents inflicted the superficial injury." She also added, "While the bruise on the abdomen is concerning in appearance, I would give the parents the benefit of the doubt in this case. Had it been me, I would postulate many ways a child could end up with a bruise that was not intentional. A thumb holding the baby on a changing table while reaching for a diaper could potentially cause that type of mark, if unknowingly using too much pressure. With a 2-year-old at home, it is quite possible the child accidentally harmed the baby, but is clearly an unreliable historian. All one can do is postulate one way or the other. I would not say with 100% certainty that this is abuse. In this case, I would err on the side of the parents and return the baby to the parents where he belongs." On Children's Division report, page 9, this is on the 45-day report that comes after. On page 9, it shows Dr. Hansering pressuring Children's Division to remove the kid on Thursday. Her responsibility is to diagnose abuse or not. The department is responsible to look at the family. Now for the department. 210-146, which creates a safe care provider, says the division shall immediately submit a referral to the county juvenile office. The referral shall include the division's recommendation regarding care, safety, and placement of the child, and reasons. 210-183 defines where the initial investigation and process consists of, and the division shall complete the investigation within 45 days. Their investigation consisted of a doctor's report. No visit to the 2-year-old's pediatrician to see if the 2-year-old has suspicious injuries earlier. Not to the daycare provider to check on the kids and the status they've been doing for 2 years. Not to the neighbors. Nothing. 210-109 says the state shall be responsible for the initial child abuse and neglect investigation and initial family assessment. 210-110 says the Children's Division will provide for a prompt assessment of a child reported for abuse. I have found when the abuse allegation is signed by a scan clinic, the investigation is over. Judge, jury, and executioner. None of this occurred. Scan clinics are the gold standard, and there's no checks on them. My bill will make subtle changes to Chapter 210. The truth is, we can't make the language perfect. If we don't have people with good judgment in these positions, nothing will fix it. This bill would define what an investigation consists of. It also says a 45-day report can't show substantiated if the only symptom of abuse is a superficial injury and there is nothing else. It also grants lawyers to low-income families at the first custody hearing for children under 4, not after the custody hearing. Many important decisions are made at that first custody hearing. It will also give the attorney access to the actual medical reports created in this case. I'm happy to say that the children were taken out of the home on September 19th. They were returned on December 15th. Can you imagine losing your 3-week-old baby for 3 months in that bonding period? The court ended the supervision. The judge actually I think he realizes that this was a gigantic overstep. They ended the court supervision on February 11th, so they're completely out of harm's way now. That's why I've waited to now to file this bill. I didn't want to upset the bureaucracy or anything and make it tougher on them. But I didn't think something like this was possible to happen in this country. As many of you have probably received constituent calls about child abuse in the division over the years, I've always in my mind got involved, tried to help them work through the process. But in the back of my mind, it's always been where there's smoke, there might be a little bit of fire. In this case, there's absolutely nothing on fire. This was complete overstepping and misjudgment by somewhat for the department, but mostly by Children's Mercy Hospital. I look forward to working with this body as this bill moves forward. Thank you.